Let's understand chemistry class 10th. Okay, so basically we have two channels. First we talk in chemistry and physics, so we use both channels. Okay, like we use chemistry in first and physics in second, so we use for both parts. So this is the part 1. Okay, part 1 for chemistry, and second part is uploaded in the physics section. Okay, so here we talk about what is the chemical reaction. Basically chemistry is the we we know about the chemical properties, chemical reactions, and all about available in the world, the chemical per element. We talk about the chemical natures. So the science of branch where this used called the chemistry, and we study the different type of compounds. Okay, so in here class 10th we have chemical reactions. Okay, so today we use some brief introduction of chemical reactions and the chemical equations, write down things, and then next we go the furthermore. This is the like introduction way. Okay, so chemical reactions. Okay, whenever a substance is formed in chemically, so there are change in something like a milk is burning. So basically the state changes of the milk, like in a water is boiled. Okay, so if a water is boils, simply the we know that um, it changes its form original state, like in we not original state, but we see some changes in the chemical way. For example, it vaporized, it has some bubbles. Now it physically, before boiled it cold, now it is temperature is increases. So so we see some fact, like we see some things which are like an abnormal before, of the previous, before the boil basically. So we study the chemical reactions. We study like in its state, its gas temperatures with the like a substance with basically with is nothing. It is like an when a substance get like an for example we have a reactant. Okay, which are react. So say I am RECT. Basically it is a reactant. Okay, so when is react. Okay, so it is a reactant. So when is react, so it convert into product. Okay, like for example the reactant, we have milk, we have water, anything else which are the react, which is involved in the reaction. So we when they after reaction they become the product. So it has properties change, as I explained in the previous. So this study of this change in states we know by the help of chemical reaction. Okay, basically we study the change in state. Okay, change in state. So we study the change in involved, which is the change in state, which in the chemical reaction, which is obvious, like intuitive way. Like if a reactor become the product, so it has some change. That's why we call this the product. No, so like in heat and something else. So this is the study in the chemical reaction. Okay, and the chemical equation is, so chemical equation basically. So now for example we say like in a water which react with anything else. Say for example for we say that the water, okay, react within the reaction we like in a compound A, and we get the product of compound, like we get the product. Okay, now it is like in some messy way, like I hope say compound F the only water. So for example it has some another. So for example a has some different type of element. So we write like in the water react with and the element, and after some temperature we get the product which is this. So it is so messy way. So that's why we use the symbolically. It's like an H2O for water react with A, give the for example product P. So we identify the element which are involved in the reaction by this known natures, like for hydrogen H, like for oxygen O2, anything else like in carbon C. So we introduce the whole term by its in single form. So we use this in the instant of the letter, like hydrogen react with oxygen with all carbon. This is a hypothetically we, and we get the product. So that's why we instead of writing this we use the hydrogen, the symbol H, O, A, B, C, etc. So these are the simple formation of chemical, simple idea of the what is the chemical reaction, what is the chemical equation. In the next class we talk about the properties of some these, and we detailed studies of like then we talk some chemical equation, different type of chemical equation. Then we move the important part with the types of reactions. Okay, we study the reaction, then we go to the types of reaction. Okay, I hope you understand the concept. If you understand, please like, share and subscribe if you understand. Okay, bye bye.